Hi everyone, welcome back to If My Heart Had Wings, The Twins Route, episode 13. And for Aoi, it looks like his two-timing date with Asa and Yoru is going quite well, and Aoi is getting used to it. Despite the usual idea that going out with two girls is wrong. So right now, they're actually doing a test flight, and after all the hard work at modifying the glider, they did take a break to have some kind of celebration, and we can see the difference between Asa and Yoru, with Asa preferring spices or spicy dishes, and Yoru wanting sweet dishes instead. And more importantly, we start to see the better side of Yoru. So despite Yoru being really smart, she really wants to be a model and wants to carry on the legacy of her family. So they're smart, they're successful, and they kind of lead in different ways. So I know that the grandfather is the chairman of Keifu Academy. So right now, let's see how it goes with the test flight. And I know that Yoru's the passenger, but I'm sure there'll be more chances for the other girls to have a ride. So Asa and maybe Kotori. So anyways, let's see. So the build. Okay, so the hull stabilized quickly, and I switched to natural flight. But I didn't lose my for us. So continue with the tests that in a tense state, all the while paying close attention to the craft. Yeah, the sky.
こんなに小さいもので空を飛んでると、なんだか変な感覚ですよね。
So it's not like in an airplane. You feel like the sky is right there close by.
はい。とっても空が近いです。
So it's almost like you are swimming in a vast ocean. That kind of feeling.
今、地上に姉さんたちがいるんですよね。
Well, that's because we're flying. So what's up?
いいえ、今の私たち見上げられてるんだなって。
So do you mean that as some kind of loathsome remark?
違います。もっとセンチメンタルな発言です。孤独な鳥は高くを飛びます。孤独な鳥は仲間を求めず、同類さえ求めません。何色にも染まらず、くちばしを天に向け、優しい歌を歌うのです。
So what was that?
サンファン・デラクルス。スペインの詩人の言葉です。
So Yoru had said that she liked poetry. Oh, okay.
今、このグライダーは孤独な鳥です。きっと誰かに見上げられてるんです。そう考えれば少しはソアリングにも意味が見出せそうな気がします。
Well, that's difficult. Well, I guess I don't really understand.
何にせよ、私がこの部活に価値を見出せようとしているってことです。
That's true. So Yoru said things like that, almost like a song. But you're only seeing or assigning that value to it in retrospect. So like I said, so I like it because I like it. So now, since you're starting to like the club, you have to go and define its value in terms of some theory or something. Well, maybe that's not what it at all. Or that's not it at all.
先輩は本当に恥ずかしい人ですね。
Wait, what? So, again, me?
でもそんな先輩がやっぱ嫌いじゃないです。
So after that, I repeated the test flight with the other members. Okay, so Asa and Kotori also got to have a ride. And I wanted to collect as much data about the glider as possible, and then to prepare for the production.
どうしたの朝、降りてきてからずっとぼーっとしてるけど。感動して喋れなくなっちゃったんだって。なるほど、空の刺激が強すぎたのね。
So Asa was just looking up at the sky, blinking her eyes with the ecstatic expression on her face. She has been like that from the moment of takeoff. Doesn't look like she is likely to return for a while.
まったく姉さんたら大げさなんだから。
So Yoru, you're in pretty high spirits.
先輩、
Wait, really? Senpai?
妹もなんだかんだでお子ちゃまね。誰がお子ちゃまですか。そうやって挑発してくる先輩こそお子ちゃまです。なんですって。まあまあ。
Calm down, you two.
これで全員1回ずつ乗ったことになるのかな。
So I think Ageha also got a turn. And I'm not sure about Amane. But then again, she's not really good with high places. Well, seems like it.
今日はずいぶんいっぱい飛んだな。
So I want to go up just one more time.
そうか、葵くんは元気だな。
So I think I was going to go solo this time. Except his stomach grumbles. Well, I really should have eaten the lunch I packed this morning, but apparently my stomach is pretty empty. Okay, let's go for some lunch. When I get back, I'll treat you, so please wait for just one more time. And when I got the license, I was taking the glider out frequently, but now for a while things have been different. So a simulator can only really give you a pseudo feel for the controls.
うん、わかった。待ってる。葵くんのご飯は美味しいからな。でも追い風出てるし気をつけるんだぞ。
Okay, so we'll go have lunch then. It's okay, and there's still plenty of time, so I want to go ahead and do it now. So I felt like I could recover my skill more quickly if I want for it now. So from earlier on, I really felt like I could go get back my former touch.
じゃあ私もう一度乗ろうかな。
Okay, I'll be the passenger, says Kotori. Well, I'm sorry, but I want to take this last flight on my own, so I won't be solo. I just want to try to keep a little more focused.
うん、わかった。
Okay. So sorry for taking this one for myself.
ううん、大丈夫。頑張ってきて。んじゃあ、ウィンチの準備しよっか。
Yeah, so please, it's rough being the leader. Let's see. The leader's slave, huh?
いえいえ、頑張りましょう、葵くん。
Okay, so again, I'm prepared for takeoff. So facing the last test flight of the day. So I closed the canopy, held the controls, and sent a signal to Kotori. Okay, I'm ready. And I wasn't the least bit nervous. And here it comes. So the aircraft is pulled along by the huge force. And the glider accelerates straight forward, or straight away. So I could hear the sound of the tires inside the aircraft over all the vibrating and rattling. And I carried out every single moment of takeoff or move of takeoff procedures as reflexively without thinking. Alright, so let's go. So I left the ground. As I increased the angle, I gained altitude. Alright, so just like this. So I never suspected. So I convinced myself that I could take off successfully even without telling myself, don't screw up. Oh, so what happened? So why is Amane shocked? Well, that means I might have been negligent. Whoosh. Wait, wind? There was an unexpected gust of wind. And it was a strong tailwind. And with that, you might just be able to guarantee a little altitude you intended. But surely, it wouldn't lead to this much of a problem. So what happened? So in an instant, there was an impact I had never experienced before. The glider, which should have been climbing, lost all momentum. It was as if I had come to a stop in the sky. I immediately realized that what happened. So before I could soar into the sky, the cable had come loose. Uh-oh. So basically the cable wasn't giving the glider enough lift or enough tug. And then I went into a dive. I couldn't judge the altitude of the glider, and it felt as if I was slipping towards the ground. Uh-oh. So the aircraft was tilted parallel to the current. The wings grabbed the wind, trying to maintain this angle, but I wasn't high enough. I left my stomach shrinking with anxiety. Something strange welled up inside me, and I felt like I might vomit out of fear. And then, well, no wait, this is not the time to panic. Winch trouble is just part of soaring. Somehow, I had got to get control of the aircraft, and I'll just immediately shift to a gliding angle. So let me try to regain lift, but I was still too low, and when I did, I found myself nearing the ground. I pull back on the controls reflexively, and he crashes. So the craft tilted precariously in a sudden lurch, and I realized that the main wings had hit the ground at full momentum. And after contracting the ground, the craft then bounced repeatedly. My field of vision was shaking, and I realized that I was rotating. And I was looking around on the ground, drawing arcs on the surface of the earth. So after a while, the vibration and spinning subsided. Wait, is it over? I was so relieved, and I felt such a sense of security, like I had been saved. And apparently somehow So I could hear Yoru's voice outside of the craft. It seems like they were worried, and they came running after the glider. I could hear her desperately calling me, but I just didn't have enough strength left to respond. Uh-oh. So I think he passed out. And at that point, I lost consciousness. So why do birds fly? Well, that's because they can. Because they can fly away. They fly because they can fly. When I fly, I should become a sign for all those people who cannot fly. That's why I cannot disregard the way of being. And for that reason, I must always be on top. I must be noble. And that's why I make the effort to eliminate anything extraneous. So I think that this is from Yoru's thoughts. That's why So if there was the slightest chance that I would change, if I had a chance to touch the world that I could touch before, I think that was the time when I abandoned reasoning and much larger emotions began to sprout. Okay, so for Io, it looks like he's okay. He's now in his room. And I didn't have any serious injuries. So my arms and legs were bruised from the impact of the aircraft hitting the ground. It'll take 3 whole weeks to recover completely. I didn't need a cast or crutches, but I had to keep it all well bandaged with the ointment and go to the hospital until I was healed. And also, it was really hard to move my arms and legs. So it's also difficult to get up. That was probably an unconscious strategy to avoid putting a strain on the muscles. So my condition is totally...
調子はどうですか、葵先輩。
Yoru? Yoru comes in when I was lying in bed reading manga. So my body is all black and blue, and it hurts when I bend in a weird way, but it's not that bad.
それは良かったです。
Yeah, well, don't worry about me. So I didn't really hinder my everyday life in any way. Well, of course, soaring was off limits until I am healed. Well, even if I got a temporary permit from the doctor, really, well, I'm fine. So, it's just that.
先輩がそれ以上気を負う必要は。
But you shouldn't move, says Yoru. But still... Well, it was my fault that the main wing is destroyed. So now there's no way we could aim for the morning glory. And besides, the glider was not the only problem. So I'm sure we know what else happens. So of course the school facility knew about the incident, or the accident, and Tobioka-sensei was furious and had ordered the Soaring Club to suspend activities. Yep. So he finally found a reason to shut the Soaring Club down. And for now, the club was temporarily suspended, but when the opportunity came, he would probably crush it. It's like, well, no more accidents. You will not continue the Soaring Club at all. So this time, it seems Akari could not protect us.
あれは先輩のせいではありません。運の悪い事故が2つも重なったんです。
But if I hadn't said that I wanted to fly,
それは考えたって仕方のないことです。
well, what if Kotori had been riding at that time? So, I'm sure it would have been much worse. So it shook me up just thinking about this.
それに柵をきちんと点検しきれてなかったのも原因だと思います。
Well, we didn't know about the damages and the impacts that the towing cable would cause, and the fact that it's loose and it's damaged. Well, problems with the winch are not that unusual at all. Well, there's no reason for everyone to worry about it so much.
だったら先輩だって自分を責めないでください。ごめんなさい。
Well, I'm sorry, but how can I not blame myself? So, I was a factor because I want to fly one more time without properly checking for everything. So it just made me a little more wary of my surroundings. I had become desperate, I was probably not much to look at that point. Well, I'm sorry. I'm reflecting back on it.
ならいいです。
Well, at that point, I had not given her any indication of how I felt. I wish I could, but end to the guilt that filled my heart. So what about Asa then?
グライダーの様子を見に行ってます。
I see.
私も今から行きます。
Wait, what?
部活。だから先輩も気が向いたら顔を出してください。それとご飯きちんと食べてくださいね。
So with those words, Yoru leaves. So, club activities. Club activities that should have already come to an end.
お、葵くんじゃない。
So what's going on now? Kotori was there when I went to the dining room.
ご飯？
Uh-huh. So since I didn't eat breakfast...
そっか。みんなの分作るだけ作って部屋に戻っちゃったもんね、葵くん。
Well, I didn't hear an appetite this morning. Well, sorry. I didn't have one.
今は食べられる？
Yeah, it's like I just have to since I'm hungry. I could hear my stomach rumbling earlier.
それはよかった。じゃあ、葵くんはそこに座ってて。私が用意してあげるから、患者さんは安静に、ね。
So I took a seat at Kotori's request, and Kotori reheated the food I had made that morning and served it to me. Okay, thank you.
いえいえ、たまにはね、恩返し。
Well, gratitude.
一緒に頑張ってくれたでしょ？夢を見ること。去年素直になれなかった私を連れ出してくれて、一緒にグライダーやってくれて、おかげで随分と前向きになれた気がするの。だからその恩返しね。
So Kotori flashed a bright smile.
結果は残念だったけど全然不満じゃないよ。いや、嘘。ちょっとは不満だけど、でもきっと頑張ったことに意味があったって私は思ってるから。だからね、気にしないで。2日前の事故は仕方がなかったこと。
So we can live because we're supported by others. So this is the kind of thing that attitude affirms this. So there was nothing I could do, so I just shrunk back and shut up. But葵くんは
夢を奪ったりしてない。むしろ夢を与えてくれてた。それが一度おしまいになっただけ。ね。だから葵くんは何も悪くないよ。
So as regarding my strength, I didn't think that there was anything to smile about. So Kotori has been sacrificing her time working together with us since last year. So she even turned down her friends' invitations and worked part-time to save money. And the dream that we had been building all this time has now collapsed.
もう十分だよ、葵くん。私は十分大切なものをもらったから。ね、気にしないで。
Kotori?
また来年頑張ればいいじゃない。私たちには来年もあるわけだし。今は自粛って言われてるけど、 1年も経てばどうにかなるよ、きっと。
Yeah, well, I guess so. I suppose that's good.
だから大丈夫。今年の夏は終わってもまだチャンスはある。
So, tears. So if I don't stop it, I'll cry.
じゃあ私部屋に戻るからまたね。
So Kotori leaves the dining room. So am I depressed? Am I blame myself? Do I really feel so sorry about it to everyone? No, this is not the kind of feeling. So it's just plain old regret. There's nothing I can do about this. So it's regrettable because it was Kotori. The summer. So this is really irreplaceable for us. So you know that we can't just return this. So I ate and then went back to my room. But I had nothing to do, so I was just sitting idly. And just before Hibari was taking Kotori somewhere. So I'm guessing that I was going to be all alone in this place with no one. So what about Asa and Yoru?
部活。だから先輩も気が向いたら顔を出してください。それとご飯きちんと食べてくださいね。
So they're still at the secret base. She said the club. There was nothing to do and nothing they could do. Now there was nothing that we could really do anymore. So I'm going to go for a walk. So I got dressed and went outside casually when he bumps into Ageha and Amane. And I wonder if Aoi feels better now that he could get up and walk.
お、ちょうどいいところに。
So Ageha and Amane comes walking in. Huh? So what are you two up to? So the two of you.
どうしてもこうしてもないでしょうが。今日もお見舞いに来てあげたのよ。
So Ageha comes to check up on me yesterday too. So thank you for everything you've done, but seriously, you don't need to worry so much about me. I'm really fine, so check it out. So I glanced around a bit, but to show them.
そうは言っても事故だし、後遺症とか出る可能性だってあるんだから、しばらくは気をつけないとダメなんだからね。あんなことがあったんだ。そりゃ気にもかけてしまうさ。
Well, I'm really sorry. So I bowed my head with little hesitation.
だから気にしなくていいってば。葵がそんなんだとみんな気にしちゃうじゃん。あれに関しては仕方のない事故だ。むしろ葵くんが被害者だと思えばいい。
So she said something similar to what Kotori had said earlier. But I had no idea how to respond, and in the end, I just forced a smile.
ところで、葵くんはどこかにお出かけかい？
So Amane said that after checking out how I was dressed. So because I had looked like I was ready to go out. Yeah, sure. So I was going to take a walk. I mean, I've just been hanging out in my room, and I have some free time, so.
じゃあ私たちもついていっていい？天音先輩と二人で暇だったしさ。今日は仕事も休みでね。もし葵くんが迷惑でなければだけど。
So the two of them had come to the dorm expressly to check up on me. So there was no way I should have refused an offer from the two of them. But still, so I'm sorry, I was hoping to just go for a walk by myself. Well, I'm really, really sorry.
Aoi.
Well, Ageha, I'm sorry. It's just that I want to be alone. That's all.
早く元気になってね。
Yes. So somehow running into Ageha and Amane was a bit painful for me. And I wonder why. Because they were friends that I had worked hard with together. I was sorry and full of remorse naturally. And so I went walking around aimlessly. And then while I was walking, I began to regret. On that day, why had I tried to fly one more time? So why? So it's wondering, it's like, well, if I did not choose to fly one more time solo, the accident would not have happened. And again, on, I was full of regret. I was so eaten away by my regret that I felt I was going mad. And when I noticed, I was thinking about the time of the accident. I kept on thinking in circles again and again about that next time. So it shouldn't have been possible. I thought about how the future would have been if I hadn't chosen to fly again that day. But even though I thought about it, in the end, I didn't come up with any answers. So it's not constructive. I understand that. But still, when I realize it, I'm here. So at Windmill Hill. And was I aware of what I was doing or not? I myself have no idea. All I know is that when I realized it, I had come here. So Kaneko's here.
あれ、葵くん？
They realized I had come here. So Kaneko?
どうしたの？こんなとこに来ちゃって。寝てなくて大丈夫？
Well, I'm fine. I've said so many times it wasn't a big deal. And more importantly, what about you?
私は二人に付き合ってね。でも、私にやれることなさそうだし、ここで空気に当たってた。みたいな？
So, two people.
朝ちゃんと夜ちゃんよ。
Oh, okay. Apparently, Kaneko has been going to club activities. So even though there's nothing more to do, it seems as if those two kept the club activities going. Well, I guess you're fixing up the glider, or are you just working on a plan for next year club activities?
ひょっとして葵くんも？
So they want to come and see? Well, I don't think so.
そう？でも、だったらどうしてここに？
Well, I was just taking a walk. No. So that's not right. Because Yoru said she was coming here. She said that you were holding the club, and that's why I came here. So even though there was nothing we can do. But yet, what are they doing anyways?
まあ、せっかく来たんだし、中に来たらどうかな。
No, but somehow it was awkward. So meeting the two of them, let's see, setting foot in that place again. And that's why I tried to refuse, trying to be vigilant.
いいから、来なさい葵くん。元気になれるものが見れるから。
Action?
そういうのを見れば心も高く飛べるわよ。
Okay, so anyways, he goes in, and Asa and Yoru are there. And Yoru is facing a desk doing something with some kind of notes spread out before her.
先輩だ。
And Asa notices Aoi.
あ、
So they both notice me.
来てくれたんですね、先輩。
So you did come. Yeah, so I was just in the neighborhood, or I was in the area. So it was a straight lie, but then it wasn't altogether untrue. So I was close by, and I might as well just stop and pop into the garage. So what are you guys up to?
部活ですよ。
Well, you can call it that, but then again, our club is suspended. The glider is already broken. It was way too late to rebuild the glider now, and it's impossible financially. So they need the time, and they need to collect enough money to buy all those parts. Wait, no. So you're getting ready for next year, I see. Yeah, so I guess I'm not sure if the club will be able to continue, but maybe next year.
何言ってるんですか、先輩。今年ですよ。
Wait, what?
モーニンググローリー。見るって言ってたじゃないですか。
Well, okay, but what about the glider?
壊れたなら作り直せばいいだけです。
So Yoru just said that like it was nothing. No. There isn't the money or the time to,
大丈夫です。うちはお金持ちですよ。きっとどうにかなります。
Well, I don't know if the family is going to accept it. It's like, well, the glider is damaged, but we're rich and our family could help out some way. Well, even supposing that wasn't a problem, but what about the time it takes?
骨組みの設計を変更すればなんとかなるんじゃないかってヨルちゃんが。
So, there might be a way we can try to get this fixed quickly and make it still work. What?
私はよくわからないんですけど、布を使ったやり方だったら祖父の力を借りればギリギリなんとかなるかもということです。
Cloth?
交換ハフ張りの構造です。まあ FRP の主翼より性能は下がっちゃいますし、重量に耐性がないですが、そこは後でまた考えるとして、木材や鉄パイプで骨組みをしてそこに布を貼るんです。そのやり方であれば今からでも間に合うかもしれません。
So we can do all these quick band-aid repairs, and that'll allow us to be able to fly the glider for some time, and then after the morning glory ends, or it has occurred and we complete that mission, then we can go back and rebuild it and make it a solid glider.
幸いあのグライダーは土台が壊れたわけではありません。結構派手にいきましたけど、修繕でなんとかなるレベルです。
And plus the overall frame is good.
調達しなければならない資材が豊富なのに加え、私一人では設計できませんから、実家の力を借りることにはなってしまいますが。
So can you do that? Help from the family. So it turns out her parents are researchers. So her grandfather is the chairman of the school, and he was sponsoring windmills on the hills over there.
まだわからないですが、聞いてみる価値は十分にあるかと。
But it won't hurt to ask him.
その工程に必要なものを今洗い直してました。
But why? So why are you so,
先輩たちが情けなかったからです。諦めるのが早すぎです。確かにグライダーは壊れました。普通に考えると無理かもしれません。でも私は お金を持った天才です。
Let's see, I went a little fast, so let's see what Asa says. Or no, Yoru says.
諦めるのが早すぎです。確かにグライダーは壊れました。普通に考えると無理かもしれません。でも私は普通じゃないです。
And strong, she was that kind of person. So it's true that Yoru is a little irregular.
幸い実家はこの手の技術とパイプが強いです。そういう研究と商売をしているんですからね。だからそれは利用すべきと思います。
But, so would they do that kind of thing just for some students' club's activities?
されどですよ、先輩。何自分が落ち込んできたことをバカにしてるんですか。
Yeah, well, I guess I was. So now I'm kind of at a loss of words. So about myself, about everyone else, and about this club.
悔しかったんですよ。先輩たちのおかげで私は少しだけ変わったような気がして、今まで気づけなかったものとかそういったものに気づけたような気がしてたから変えられたんですよ。私が、自分勝手な私の心が。なのに先輩たちはちょっと失敗しただけですぐにみんな諦めそうになって、悔しいじゃないですか。悔しいんですよ。少なくとも私は。ほとんど無意味って分かってるんです。こんなことしたって何かもらえるわけじゃない。誰かに表彰されるわけじゃない。でも私は悔しいんです。なんだかわからないですけど、私は今年の夏を諦めたくないんです。
Yoru said something like that with a passion and intently that I could not even imagine her being capable of normally. So let's see. Normally, she was cool and indifferent and had no interest at all in club activities. And that's how her character was supposed to be, but now Yoru has changed. So I left, or I felt the heat. So it was the same as a long time ago when I was to focus on my bicycle, or even last week I guess I had been just as focused on the glider.
私もそんな感じです。せっかくつかめそうになった空ですから、何か手段があるならあがいてみたいんです。今はこれだって、絶対にこれだって、そう思えた夢なんです。希望なんです。この部活は、先輩たちの夢は。だからまだもう少しだけ一緒に夢を見させてくれませんか。
Asa?
私はもう二人に付き合ってかな。
So why was I ready to just give up so easily? So we still have time and we still have more than the slightest chance. And since we do, yeah, I know, it's true. Sorry, I'm going to help. Also, like I said, my injuries are not quite healed yet, but still, I think there may actually be a way. So if Morning Glory develops slower than usual, we may be able to aim for it. And that kind of miracle might just happen. So...
先輩。さすが葵くん。話せばわかるわね。
So, I was pretty depressed for a couple of days. I just thought about it was impossible, but anyways, sorry, so you're right. We can't keep trying. So my lovely girlfriend tells me that she's going to keep trying. I'll be lying if I said I was not going to.
ですよ先輩。彼氏なんだからこういう時はむしろビシッとやってくれないと。
I guess. So I was determined my fire has been lit. So this summer is not over yet. And it wasn't a time for regrets.
とりあえず可能かどうかの確認に行きましょうか。せっかくですし先輩もついてきてください。
So where?
私たちの家ですよ。
So I say bye to Kanako and visit Yoru and Asa's family home. So kind of like how I would mention that, well, Yoru's quite different compared to what happened in the past. So back in the beginning when Asa decided to join the Soaring Club, Yoru was not interested. It's like, well, I'm only here because I'm just helping out Asa. But now we see that Yoru does feel attached to the glider in some way, and when it got damaged because of the accident, she's willing to help, and she insists on Aoi agreeing to it. It's like, well, we can make some band-aid repairs to the glider and still make it work in time for the morning glory. Anyways, since it was just us, I would accompany them as a senior member of the Soaring Club. And to get to their house, we went 2 stations from the school by train, and then from the station, it was another 15 minutes further by bus. And when we got off the bus, there was a giant gate-like on the famous temples and a mansion that looked like a luxury hotel waiting for us. It was very different from the homes of average people, and it seemed that the two of them lived there. So the two of them guided me, aiding a wooden walkway overlooking a landscape garden which led towards their grandfather's room. So, this house is amazing.
金持ちですから。
Well, they are clearly incredibly rich. So you live here with your family?
今、私たちはトビウオ荘に住んでますけど、その前はそうですね。あとは住み込みのお手伝いさんと。
Wow, so pretty nice place. And the place where the two of them lived was like a different world to me.
ま、両親はずっと帰ってきてませんけどね。
Wait, what?
研究バカで仕事狂いなので。ああいうのをワーカーホリックって言うんですよ。
誕生日も帰ってこなかったしね。
So apparently they're out overseas doing research and they never come back, even skipping the twins' birthday. I see. So seeing for a moment as if I had touched on a rather sensitive subject, I was a little worried at first, but I guess it wasn't such a big deal.
私は両親に似てるとよく言われますが。でも違いますよ。私は一つのことに熱中しすぎて周囲が見えなくなるなんてことはありません。
私はどっちにも似てないってよく言われます。
I see. So somehow I felt like I grasped the situation.
ああいう大人にだけはなりたくないですね。私たちを身ごもったのも研究室に2人で連泊している最中だったそうですし。
Well, I wonder if the mom could handle it, because that's gonna be quite stressful. Well, that is pretty harsh, huh?
ですよね。
お父さんとお母さん自由だから、すっごく優しいけどね。
溺愛してくれてるのはわかるけどね。ただ仕事の方が優先度高いわよね。
Yeah, that's true. Well, It's said that many researchers are quite weird. And I wonder if the same is true for Amane. Oh yeah, she is weird too because of her eating habits and how I always sees her. I suppose they're just that kind of breed. So, where are we going then?
祖父のとこです。援助の依頼と、それに
部の活動自粛に関してもどうにかなるかもしれません。
I see. So, Tobioka-sensei has ordered us to suspend the Soaring Club activities. And I've forgotten all about it since we had been talking about being able to repair the glider, but we still had that to deal with. So we can ask the chairperson, but it's definitely not an ideal way of resolving things.
今さら何を言ってるんですか先輩。グライダーの修理だってそもそも意味もなく危険な空を飛ぼうなんてことだって全部ぶっちゃけ子供のわがままですよ。
Yeah, I know.
私たちは綺麗事のために空を飛ぼうとしてるわけじゃないでしょ。
So that was it. So it wasn't like we were flying because we wanted to do something really noble.
わがままは私も得意ですから力になります。
So right now, I'm not sure exactly what kind of power you will provide, but you sure got lots of heart. So the two of them led me, and eventually we arrived at a big room. And just as we did,
よく来たな。朝、夜。
okay,
それと、
so this is the grandfather. It's like, welcome.
水瀬の息子さんだったか。
So it must be Minase. Or, Minase mother's son. Wait, what? So, at Yoru and Asa's invitation, we entered a really spacious Japanese-style tatami room. And the stern old man has been enshrined here.
はじめまして。水瀬葵くん。
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you too. I had been caught off guard, and I answered in a bit of a panic. It's like, oh, so I'm meeting the big boss. So he is the school chairman. How does he know my name anyways? And also the mother of Minase.
顔も母親にそっくりじゃの。
Oh, really?
それでおじいちゃんが昔の知り合いに相談してここを紹介してもらったのよ。
Oh, so my mother and your grandfather are acquaintances. So speaking of which, I guess he knows her face. Well, I'm pretty sure in the past, the grandfather did meet with Iowa's mom, and that's probably why the deal of having the twins move over to the Flying Fish Manor happened.
頼りになる後輩じゃったぞ。ポジティブで行動的でな。葵くんもそういう匂いがするの。強い目をしておる。
Well, thank you very much. So the chairman is complimenting me. I felt a little uncomfortable.
それでお前たち、早速本題じゃが、お前たちが部活で使っているグライダーの修繕をお願いしたいと？
はい。おじいさまに協力していただけないかなと。
So the two of them said before that they talked with the grandfather often. I guess that's why he seemed to understand everything about the situation.
願いしますおじい様。このままだと夢が途中で終わっちゃうんです。
So Asa made a compelling argument. So usually Asa lacks self-confidence and just goes along with other people, but she was selfish and she could thoroughly be stubborn when she has to be. So her plea was full of ambition and she's incredibly tenacious.
電話で話した通りなのですが、資金面での援助と資材の提供や専門業者に設計協力などをお願いできないかと。
お金は少ないかもしれませんが、私のお小遣いの前借りでいいです。
私の分もです。それでも足りないんだったら将来バイトして返しますから。
So the two of them were willing to do that much. And regardless of the fact that they had not been in the club for long, they still spoke like this. So it might be considered bad form to borrow money at someone else's home, but I'll push in too. So I'll pitch in too. Rather, I'll pitch in. So this wasn't the time for me to keep my mouth shut. Well, actually, I was the one who broke the glider in the accident. It would have been such a shame for everything to end like this. So if something like that could be possible, I would really appreciate this.
先輩、無理しなくていいのに。
Well, it's not possible. That's pretty much lame, isn't it? So asking for money from girls.
じゃあ仲良く3人で出しましょう。
So we had no reason to regret. We had no idea what might happen the following year, so it was important that we are all together this summer. So what does the grandfather say?
先に一つ質問じゃ。
はい。
どうしてそこまでしたいと思う？
動機ですか？
目的じゃ。空に憧れる理由じゃよ。それもわからないのに無理な協力なんてできるわけがないじゃろう。空を目指すなんて危ないことじゃ。高いところから落ちれば人は死ぬ。と名誉があるわけではない。報酬があるわけではない。なのにお前たちはどうして飛ぶ？
So I'm going a little fast with the grandfather. Let's see.
空を目指すなんて危ないことじゃ。高いところから落ちれば人は死ぬ。当然のことじゃがの。
Okay. So similar to the question he had already asked Yoru before. So why do you fly?
私が飛べばそういうことが誰かの支えになるような気がしてるから。初めは漠然と空に憧れてただけだったけど、そう思うようになりました。飛べないからこそ飛びたいんです。
Alright, let's see what Asasa says.
私は多分空とか高みとかそういうのと無縁な存在だから。
Okay. So that's some way Asa's words were earnest and, let's see, poignant. It was so like her. She was a real straight talker. And then...
夜は
好きだからです。惹かれるからです。私には それ以外の理由はありません。
Oh?
And so they were the same words that I had spoken to her the other day. Because I like it. And there was nothing more to say. Anything you could add to that would just be tacked on, extraneous.
私は姉さんと違って試したい自分は近くにありません。わざわざ高みに心惹かれたりはしません。でもだからこそ漠然とした空を飛ぶという無意味な目的に心を躍らされたのではないかと考えるんです。
意味がないのに飛ぶと。
ええ、私には友達との談笑が無価値なものに思えます。名誉も報酬もない行為が不必要なものと感じます。でもだからこそ飛んでみたい気がするんです。好きって多分そういうことじゃないでしょうか。
取り留めがなくまとまりのない答えじゃな。
おじいさま、正直言うと私未だによく分かってないんです。どうしてこんなに部活熱心になってしまっていたか。でもそれは多分好きってことなんじゃないかってそこの先輩に教えてもらいました。
So my eyes met Yoru's.
私もそんな気がしてます。きっと好きなんです。好きになってたんです。部活がわからないってことはそういうことなんです。好きってわからないってことなんです。
So something you love and don't understand. Okay, so I know that I'm past an hour on this episode, so we're going to hear what the grandfather will say about Yoru and Asa's reason about why they want some money and support to fix the glider and why they want to continue doing this activity that Tobioka-sensei already called it dangerous. And I'm pretty sure he's going to, well, A, okay with it, or B, come up with a good explanation about why it's not a good idea to pursue the Soaring Club. So with that in mind, I'll see you in the next episode.